Hello. Happy Tuesday. And this is as live as I'm going to get, I can tell you. So I think the camera in Kennel 9 and 10 is not working. Nick is in Palo Alto, so I don't think he's going to be doing anything with it. So we're just going to go back to Facebook Live and hope that our little friend in the sky, that satellite, keeps us connected, because it does tend to not play the game. So it's been an exceptionally busy and very tiring day today. And oh my golly, what's happened? So this morning we had our insurance inspection, which is a pretty regular thing. And we needed to make sure that the poor gentleman taking the pictures was safe. So we moved animals around about, which was super fun and a bit chaotic, shall we say. And then that delayed barn chores, and then we did barn chores, and then Caroline and I went out to get shavings and pellets for Meredith and some for here. And then it's just really been barn chores, and has been the day that has just really kept giving. The good news is the car came back today. Bao took me down and I drove it back. They couldn't see anything wrong with it without taking it apart. And to take it apart, if it's what he thinks it may be, he doesn't have the part in. It will take a while to get it going, and also it's about 4 hours of labour to take the steering column apart and then put it back. He wonders whether or not it is the indicator, and what do you call that here? Your blinker. See, here we go, indicating which way you're going, left or right. You lot call it a blinker, honestly. So he's wondering if it's crossed wires in the indicator, and for that, apparently, not that I know anything about cars, and I think it's probably about to show that indicator on this side of the steering stalk thingy is it is connected to the stuff on the other side, and it goes in a great big loop, and sometimes the wires cross, and that might be what the problem is. But he ran it while stationary for 3 hours. It didn't do anything untoward. He then drove it for a good number of miles, and it didn't do anything untoward. So he said to take it back and just keep an eye on it. But I will tell you, as I was explaining to Janine after I was feeling very, very foolish this morning, I said, honestly, I started the car, a big cloud of black smoke came out of it. It was a very acrid, plasticky burning smell, and there was a sizzling noise, at which point I thought, this car sounds like it's about to explode, and it smells not too good, so I got out. Sharpish. So he said to take it back and see how it goes, which is really exciting considering I am going to Rockport tomorrow. I think it's Rockport tomorrow. So that's super fun, and they're making very rude noises about a touch of snow coming in this evening. Don't really have much more space for snow, to be quite honest, and we'll just have to wait and see whether or not that materialises. So it was really nice because we had the horned goats down in the barn this morning. I think I can safely say that there is absolutely no way the horned goats are ready to be integrated to any of the herds that we have down here. I think that goes without saying. And you will notice, Nick and I, we read a comment about, I can't remember when it was, definitely, I don't think it was this week, and somebody said it was such a shame that the horned goats didn't get anywhere near the amount of attention as the other animals. Well, the horned goats actually live up at my house, and I think, I'm hoping that you maybe saw a difference in them. They're extremely calm. They walk down the hill with me. They hang out in a little herd. That's my little goat crew. And they walked down. They hung out in the barn. They were very well behaved. And I will say they were much better behaved than the small goats, who have been creating merry hell all afternoon. And then we all walked back up, and there's no problem. They're exceptionally well cared for. They're probably a bit on the tubby side of life. And I will say that they don't like being in an unheated barn because they're a bit spoiled. So Henry was a bit like, I need to go back to my heated palace. Thanks very much. I'm not enjoying this. So so I took him back. But they're actually very well cared for, and they do have quite a lot of interaction because Nick and I get to go and see them in the morning and at night time, and they've always got lots to say. So, and they're very friendly. They're Mabel. Not I was going to call her Maybelline. Mabel is not quite as headbutty as she used to be. She's actually very affectionate. I'm very fond of her. I think the real troublemaker is probably Henry, who is the father to all the goats, and he is just very big, bossy and large. So there. So that has gone very well. But then I let the small goats out this afternoon, and it has been chaos in this barn. It's very difficult because at the moment I really like to try and get everybody out for a period of time so they're not stuck in. These are oversized stalls. They are really big stalls. They're in no way being maltreated and in any way, shape or form. These are oversized stalls. They have their water, they have feed, they have hay, and they have got company. And but I do like to, particularly if it's sunny, I do like to try and have them outside, and also in the barn if it's not quite so sunny. So unfortunately today there was no sunshine in the afternoon, so I have had Jemmy out most of the she was probably out from about 10:30, and I've just popped her back in just now. And then I had the small goats out this afternoon, and they were just in everything. They're up the top of the haystack. They're knocking trash cans over. They're trying to squeeze into places they just shouldn't be, and they're making a right royal mess. Honestly, I could have really put them back this afternoon and told them just to stay where they were and behave themselves. But no, I kept them going. And the problem we really have is that the donkeys don't like the goats, and they don't like the cows either. So the easy access is to the outside space is actually through the arena, and they've got little running trails outside. But the donkeys don't well, Arthur and Dimitri in particular are not letting the goats or the cows into the arena right now. So the only other space that we have where the ground is exposed enough is either out in the courtyard area at the front of the barn or in the barn aisle itself. So we've got kind of slim pickings. And Elvis is a bit tricky because all of a sudden he stands and he sunbathes outside, and he stands and he sunbathes, and you think, yeah, this is going pretty well. And then the next thing is he takes off at a clip up the driveway, and he has a habit of going down the road. So you have to keep quite a close eye on Elvis, which means that you can't really be doing anything else because he's a heck of a speedy when he thinks he can get away with it. So that's we're just continuing with that program. Tomorrow, I have to tell you that one of the other exciting things that happened yesterday is before we lost the car to the cloud of black smoke, Caroline and I, we were headed down to Stop and Shop, and we passed the post office, and she said, would you just jump into the post office? I've got this little box. I want to know how much it will cost to post. Topsfield post office is always very busy. It's a very popular spot. So I said to her, right, no problem. So I left the car running, and I left her in the car because it was nice and cozy, and there was no way she was going to be able to stand for the length of time it was going to take. So I went in and I discussed, was this the most economical way to post, blah, 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 blah. Went through it, and I was probably about 10-15 minutes. And when I came out, she was speaking to a man in the car. It wasn't on her phone. She was just speaking to this man. And I said to her, are you okay? And she said, yeah. She said, anyway, my friend is here. You can speak to her. And I said, what did you do? Did you press anything? She said, I touched nothing. I was like, jolly good. And the man says, right, so do you want an ambulance or the police? And I said, neither, thanks. I said, is this the emergency alert? He said, yes. I said, could you tell me how we managed to contact you? He said, yes, you pressed the button. And I looked at Carleen and she went, I didn't touch anything. I was like, I said, well, one of us has pressed the button, and I said, and I've just arrived back in the car, and so we don't need either. Thank you so very much, and we're sorry to disturb you. And Carleen said, I don't know how that happened. Anyway, at least we know the button works. So I think if there's a button presser between us, I know which one of us it was. So that was our other bit of excitement yesterday. Honestly, it was the day that just kept giving. And then, and then another complaint. And then Nick was leaving at half past 4 this morning. And at 4:16, my phone started ringing, and I thought, oh, crikey, this is not good. This is not good. And I picked it up and I said, are you okay? And she went, why are you on my phone? I said, well, I didn't call you. You called me. Oh, well, go back to sleep then. I was like, okay. So, and Carleen's phone number is actually one of the ones that I have Janine, Carleen, and my children, and Nick. Those are the phone numbers that get straight through immediately. If anyone else is calling because there's a barn emergency, you need to call it twice, otherwise it doesn't ring out. I'm thinking about removing Carleen though, because she's just got terrible fingers for pressing buttons, I think. Yeah, so there we go. Well, that's been the excitement over the last day or two. Now, I am going to go and try and read these questions. Good luck to us. Hello, Joe. Thank you for alerting everyone and myself to the problem with the camera. Oh, it is Tuesday. Oh, that reminds me. So tomorrow is going to be Janine in Aiken. You'll be glad to hear. Change of scenery. It's so difficult because going between the names on YouTube, the names on Discuss, and the names on here, I couldn't tell who anybody is. It's quite difficult keeping track. So yes, we do think it could be caused by rodents, but we're just not sure. It's definitely something touching that shouldn't be. Yeah, so I'm really hoping that the car doesn't have a problem while I'm on my way to Newbury, not Newburyport, it's Rockport, I think, tomorrow. That would be problematic. You know, Jenny is always up to something, I can tell you. She actually has her own salt block in her own barn. She's probably just rubbing her scent all over the goat one, claiming it. It takes a little while to go through these questions, because what it actually does is it tells me who's watching, and it says such and such is here, boom, boom, boom. Yes, I certainly wouldn't like to be chasing down loose animals, particularly Elvis, because he can be super speedy when it suits him. The goats don't seem to have any inclination to disappear yet. So I'm sorry, I'm still scrolling through. Yes, a Wednesday break. It means I can get a deep cleaning done on the arena. Oh, the goats are lovely. I'm actually very fond of the horned goats as well. I do like the little mini goats. It's just difficult this time of year because they're normally outside causing merry hell, you know, on Chaos Hill. So they get all their wriggles out and they get on with it. And the goats up up the hill. They're not really interested in being outside. They're lolloping around inside in front of a heater. It's honestly, it's like, peel me another grape, thank you. So they just sit and munch away, and of course they get all the peelings and all the bits and pieces and the fruit that's just about to turn from the house. So they're ecstatic, little monkeys. But the goats are really good fun. They're very sociable, and you know, it's lovely because when you're outside, you've always got company. You're never by yourself when you've got goats. They are everywhere. Totally and utterly everywhere. And I did remember to let Nick's blinking ducks out, so they all came out and hissed at me, which is lovely. They're so antisocial. And so I just have to remember to put them away, because he did send me a message today. Did you remember to do my ducks? And I'm like, yes I did. So I better remember to put them back, otherwise I'll be in big trouble. It's nothing like pressure, having to keep everything alive until people come home, honestly. Oh no, I've got the red car, Carlene's red car. I could take my red car, but the problem with my red car is it has bucket seats in the back, and I'm taking Larky. And by the time I've put the pram for the rabbit and Larky in, it's so uncomfortable for him lying in those bucket seats, because they're shaped and he doesn't get to lie flat. So it's a mess. Yeah, so yes, I will take it in an emergency, but it's probably not the easiest. What are the name of my dogs? Oh, my two Danes. The blue Dane, that's Ella. The black Dane, that's Arlo. And my dogs are all rescues. I think they're over 5. I'm not 100% sure. My poor Ella, when she came into us, she's in season at the moment, which is not ideal. And so she's super skinny, because when she's in season, she seems to lose a tremendous amount of condition. She came into me with a massive heartworm load, and she spent a year having treatment to eradicate as many as we possibly could. So while she's in pretty good condition ordinarily, the vet wasn't comfortable putting her under anaesthetic to spay her. So I think she's probably about 6 now, and she's got lumps and she's got bumps, which are very common with smooth-coated dogs. But I just can't do much for her, because an anaesthetic is, I think, because she's got residual scarring, etc., from the heartworm and all the treatment. She wouldn't. She's not a good candidate for an anaesthetic. So when we brought her in, she spent a year, and it's quite tricky actually. She had to be crated, because they started very slowly killing off the heartworm, and but because it was quite an intensive process, and it was injections we had to use for her. Because it was quite an intensive process, she had to be kept very calm so that she didn't put a lot of pressure on her heart, so she wasn't allowed to run around. So she did very gentle exercise, which was, obviously hand walking. So that took a whole year until we got her to a reasonable stage where she's done very well. We keep her we're as careful with her as we possibly can be, and so she's just fine. She's just a bit skinny at the moment and in season, which is never fun. Arlo came to us because animal control couldn't contain him. He could jump out of the animal control pens, and we think probably the reason that he ended up in rescue was because he can jump just about most things. He thinks absolutely nothing. When we lived in our other house, it had a two-tier deck, and it was he took a running jump and jumped off. It was probably about between 8 and 9, and in fact it's probably between 9 and 10 foot. He jumped off this deck down onto the grass, and he just kept running. And he was very difficult to contain. So that's the two Danes. I then have Gracie, and that's my lady who we didn't think was going to make it. She was hit at the side of an interstate and couldn't feed herself. She'd been living there, we think, probably most of her life. And she'd been hit at the side of an interstate and was skeletal with a broken leg. So we paid for her vet care and her hospital stay, and then she came to us, and she's been super ever since. We have Julius. Julius is an Aussie miniature Aussie Shepherd. We think probably crossed with a German Shepherd, and he is just ditzy. He is lovely, totally ditzy and very fluffy. And then we obviously have Noodles, who is ditzy and very barky, and he came from Carleen, but it originally came from a box at an auction. And then I have my two ladies, my Annie and my Juniper. And Juniper is a German Shepherd cross, and she is nuts. She bounces everywhere. She bounces from the moment she gets up to the moment you leave her at night time. And she is the happiest, bounciest, bossiest dog I think I've ever come across. But she's an absolute little sweetheart, and she's a really good girl. And then I have Annie, and we all know Annie. Annie has been spent 5 weeks in training classes because she has terrible fear, anxiety, and gets a bit barky, shall we say. She's terrified of people. So she's very good, and she's my little companion. She sleeps on the bed in behind my knees every night, and then I put her. She's on a remote collar, but she doesn't have the electric side. She just has the vibrate, and the vibrate, as I tried to explain to people, is it's like a tap on the shoulder going, "Excuse me, you were supposed to be doing something." So, and I always test the vibrate to make sure I've actually got it on. I always test it on my hand in the morning. It just sits and goes bzzz. And she comes with me to Meredith, and we go out and about. She's my buddy. So that's what I've got, and that's what I was moving round about all day today. Now, let's see what else we've got here. Oh, look, I've broken it. Oh,